Free drinks, sex acts, and cash. Those are all things a former director of the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission is accused of taking in exchange for favors at strip clubs.
The FBI released the federal indictment today. First Alert 6's Philip Catafamo joins us live outside of the FBI Omaha headquarters with the latest on this. Philip?
Brian and Aaron, former Nebraska Liquor Control Commission Executive Director Hobart Roop is facing multiple federal offenses. Now, investigators allege he used his position to provide favors to two Lincoln-based strip clubs. You may remember back in May, Roop was suspended without pay after a federal search warrant was served at the Nebraska Liquor Commission offices. Now, the indictment alleges for 3 years, Roop received benefits like free drinks, sex, and cash from partial owner of both clubs, Brett Zywick, all in exchange for protection from law enforcement attention and to enrich the businesses.
Roop was appointed to serve on the public's behalf and with the public's interests in mind, but he chose to put his personal greed and his vices ahead of that responsibility.
Roop faces multiple charges for fraud and extortion. He is expected in court for an initial appearance tomorrow, where he could face up to 30 years in prison. Reporting live in Omaha, I'm Philip Catafamo, First Alert 6. Back to you.
Philip, thank you. We've been digging deeper into this 19-page indictment. A lot of layers here. Investigators say Roop is seen on security video taking a bundle of cash under a table at a strip club.
Prosecutors say Roop was illegally looking up information on his favorite dancers as well. The indictment reads, quote, identifying information on the dancers would be used by Hobart Roop to look up dancers in the Nebraska Criminal Justice Information System, a law enforcement database, to gain inside knowledge about the individuals.
Now, you can read the full indictment on this story at firstalert6.com. Okay, grab